Sound, the often overlooked scene, is just as powerful as influential when it comes to shaping our perception, emotion, and purchasing decision. While visual are essential for grabbing attention, sound has the ability to deepen emotional connection and enhance the brand experiences in ways that are often subconscious, extremely impactful. But how does sound work on individual level? What role does it play different social culture? And most importantly, how can auditory cues be strategically integrated into sensory marketing to make brands more memorable, emotionally engaging, and distinctive? We found out in this presentation. So, sounds play a central role in shaping human perception and interaction with the environment. Beyond being a passive sensory input, it is communication tool and emotional trigger. The human ear captures vibration that the brain interprets into meaning, helping individuals navigate spaces, record identities, and decode emotion. From a service marketing perspective, auditory stimuli are powerful in influencing consumer behavior because they can be customized into a fit brand's identity and evoke desired emotion state in service environment. The human voice, whether laughing, crying, screaming, or singing, communicates emotion and personality without the need of visual confirmation. This nonverbal channel is particularly influential in service encounter, where tone of voice from employees, background annoyance, or even automated system affect perceived service quality. For example, in hospitality, a warm greeting with a friendly tone can create a welcome atmosphere. And in call center, voice modulation, pace, and clarity affect customer satisfaction rating as much as problem resolution. From walking up to bedtime, sounds continuously frames our perception all day long. Like in the morning, a smartphone alarm or the clock radio jingle become a conditioned auditory cues signaling the start of the day. Then commute, radio advertisement use music, jingles, and familiarity voices to engage listener, reinforcing brand calls. The retail visit, fashion store and supermarket market deliberately use in-store music and voice messages to influence well time, placing, and purchase behavior. And in the evening, TV programs, streaming services use musical branding in advertisement to anchor message in memory. In Bittner's service-scape model, the ambient condition, including sounds or more, the core environmental factors influence customer perception and behavior. Unlike physical goods, services are experienced in real time, so auditory elements have an immediate and direct effect on the service encounter. For example, in fast food service, the energetic pop tracks would encourage the quick table turnover, while in luxury retail, soft instrumental music will align more with the premium brand positioning. And by integrating auditory branding into the service delivery process, businesses can enhance memorability, improve customer satisfaction, and differentiate their offerings in competitive markets. Moving on to the characteristic of sound, first is the sociological aspect. Sound is everywhere and its influencing on our emotion, decision, and behavior is often underestimated. Whether it's the background music in the retail store, the voice in the commercial, or the ambient noises around us, sound is a powerful communicator, one that directly affects how we perceive the world and interact with the product or service around us. Ambient sounds are natural or environment noises that we encounter without the intention of communicating specific information. These include like rainfall, the wind rustling through leaves, like that. They set the mood and influence our emotional state and behavior without us even being consciously aware of them. For example, the Japanese Zen garden use ambient water sound to induce mental relaxation, aligning with the cultural preferences of peace and mindfulness and brand identification. About a voice, human voices are often the most direct form of communication. They convey emotion, personal identity, and intentions in a way that can deeply influence how we feel about a product or brand. Whether it's an excited voice or calm, reassuring tone, the quality of the voice has a direct impact on our emotional engagement. For example, the Alexa voice automation, the voice of Amazon Alexa is intentionally designed to be soothing and pleasant, using a female voice that feels calm, friendly. Neuroscientifically saying the science research suggests that the alarm, the warmth, the friendly tone of Alexa voice activate regions in the brain that associate with trust and comfort, increasing user satisfaction and engagement with the product. The psychological impact is that voice recognition is powerful because the brain temporal lobes are involved in processing speech, and we often subconsciously form emotional connection to voices that are comforting or familiar. So a voice with the right tone and pitch can trigger positive feeling and reinforce the brand image as a reliable and trustworthy. And music is one of the most powerful auditory tools in marketing, influencing both emotions and behaviors. It helps the mood, builds brand personality, and can even dictate the pace at which consumers shop or consume product. Music taps into deep emotional centers of the brain and can stimulate memories, increase dopamine level, and influence decision making. Neuroscientifically, insight is that the repetition of the melody combined with positive emotion trigger dopamine release, reinforcing the consumer emotional connection to the brand. For example, McDonald's sound would associate its brand with happiness, familiarity, and joyful experiences. So when listening to a song, a voice, the brain will process it through a specific ways that are both cognitive and emotional. The memory in sound is suggesting that the right hemisphere of the brain is primarily responsible for processing melodies and emotions connected to the sounds. So the rhythmic structure and repetition of songs are processed in the auditory cortex, while lyrics are stored in the temporal lobes of the brain, making them easier to remember. So, in conclusion, sounds is a critical but often overlooked element in sensory marketing, and understanding how to use sound effectively can enhance brands' emotional impact, creating deeper connection with consumer and influence their purchase decision.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
The human ear is
Clap
the
along,
main organ
clap
designed to
along
process
if you
sound, and
feel
its
like a
structure
room
is essential
without
in
a roof.
understanding how we perceive sound.
Clap
The ear
along,
is
clap
divided
along
into three
if
parts.
you feel
The
like
outer
a
part,
room
the outer ear,
without
is
a
close to
roof.
the piedana, used for
Clap
receiving
along,
music
clap
from the ear,
along
which
if
collects
you
sound
feel
waves from
like
the
a room
environment and
without a
funnels them into
roof.
the ear canal. Sound
Clap
waves
along,
then travel
clap
towards the
along
eardrum,
if you
or
feel
where
like
they
a
cause
room
vibration,
without a
and the
roof.
middle ear is when sounds reach the
Clap
eardrum,
along,
vibrates,
clap
and
along
these
if
vibrations
you
are transferred
feel
to
like a room
three tiny
without
bones
a
in the middle
roof.
ear called the
Clap along,
occipital.
clap
These
along
bones amplify
if
the
you
sound and
feel like
transmit
a
the
room
vibration into the
without
middle
a
ear.
roof.
And in the inner ear, the
Clap
vibration called
along,
the
clap
occipital
along
transmits into the
if you feel
cochlea.
like a
The
room
spiral
without
shaped
a
um,
roof. Clap
fluid
along,
structure
clap
attached to the
along
center.
if
The
you feel
cochlear
like a
receive
room
vibration
without
into
a
electrical
roof.
signals, which are sent to the
Clap
brain
along,
via the
clap
auditory nerve.
along
The brain
if
then
you feel
processes these
like a
signals,
room
allowing us to
without
separate
a
the sound.
roof.
So imagine you provided
Clap along,
so why
clap
the sound
along
is so
if
intimate
you
and
feel
exciting.
like a room
For like
without
vision,
a
which is
roof.
experienced
Clap along,
externally
clap along
through our eyes,
if you
sound
feel
is
like a
internal
room
experience. It
without
is
a
processed
roof.
inside the head, making it more
Clap
personal
along,
and
clap along
individuated.
if you feel
For
like a room
example, think
without a
about how
roof.
well-known jingle songs can make
Clap
you feel
along, clap
certain
along
when you
if
hear
you
like
feel like a room
opening up
without
where
a
happy
roof.
letter William Price.
Clap along, clap along if you feel like a room
Yes,
without a
like we often
roof.
lose out vibing with that song,
Clap
right?
along,
Your brain
clap
immediately
along
associate that
if
song
you
with joy,
feel like a
positivity,
room
and
without
energy.
a
This
roof.
happens because your brain
Clap
links the
along,
melody and
clap
rhythm
along
with emotional
if you
memory,
feel
thanks to
like
the
a
right
room
hemisphere
without
of
a
the brain.
roof.
The neurochemical reaction
Clap
also release
along,
dopamine, which
clap
feels
along
good.
if you
And when
feel
listening to
like a
the
room
melody of the
without
song,
a
the auditory
roof.
cortex processes
Clap
sound while the
along,
limbic
clap
system
along
reacts.
if you
The
feel like
hippocampus
a room
involved
without
in
a
memory
roof.
also engage, which helps explain
Clap
why songs
along,
are so
clap
easily
along
associated with
if you
memory.
feel
This
like
is
a
why
room
sound plays such
without a
a critical
roof.
role in brand recall.
Clap along,
Brands that
clap
effectively
along
use
if you
jingles
feel like a
stimulate
room
these brand
without a
the customer
roof.
brain to trigger positive
Clap
associations with
along,
the product.
clap along.
So, moving on to the psychological aspect, music plays a central role in emotional and mental well-being, contributing to self-esteem and a more positive outlook of the life. Music therapy, for instance, is widely used for its ability to help individual to heal, recover, and maintain their emotional health. Music has a unique ability to engage multiple areas of the brain, especially those connected to emotional regulation and memory recall. So that is why it is so powerful. And the three aspects of music are sound, behavior, and concept. Music is more than just a sound, it involves behavioral reaction and conceptual interpretation. The sound concept is that the auditory signals produced by the musicians or the audio system we experience is the pitch, the tempo, the tone that dictate how we perceive and react to the music. And because this is measurable, so it is easier for the brands to navigate as well. The behavior factors is this is the physical response to the music, such as we used to dance, we clap, we nod along to the rhythm. Music influence not only our emotion but also our physical action in response to it. So the underlying meaning we attach to music is that it's not just the rhythm or the melody, it's how we interpret the music's message, often influenced by our social or cultural context also. And music music emotional impact can be broken down into three primary elements, which is tempo, pitch, and structure. Each of these elements plays a role in how we respond to music and, by extension, to the brains or experience being promoted. And the emotional power of music is also influenced by two factors, contour and convention. Contour refers to the melodic shape of the music, whether it's ascending or descending, and how fast or slow it moves. Fast ascending melodies are generally associated with positive emotion, while slow descending melodies evoke sadness or melancholy. For example, Disney movie soundtracks typically would use ascending major keys melody, which elevates the sense of optimism and joy. And convention refers to the cultural context and previous experiences that shape how we interpret music. For instance, the sound of a violin may evoke different emotion in different cultures. In the Western societies, it might evoke classical elegance, while Eastern culture it might signal romance or spirituality. For example, the sound of a gong. An instrument gong in Asian cultures signifies calm and serenity, whereas in Western context, it might signal mystery or suspense. So, in summary, music in marketing is not just a background of element, it's a powerful psychological tool that can evoke emotion, shape perception, and build brand identity. So, when used effectively, music can serve as an emotional anchor for brand, making it memorable and emotionally engaging for customers. Moving on to moving on to music reaction. It is emotional impact on the sound. Music is deeply intertwined with themes of a celebration, somber melodies, and sad moments. Music has the power to express and evoke emotion in profound ways. We often say that music is a motivator like it has a deeply related on regardless of language. What happens in our brain and body when we listen to music? How do these sounds translate into emotions? So, music doesn't just evoke reaction, it expresses it in the most meaningful feelings. A piece of music can bring in happiness, sadness, excitement, or even fear. But this progress is always present. Cognitive if we weren't feeling those emotions before. For example, the happy song shows enthusiasm, and some people simply can't cope with the song with the
Tại tương lai tôi đang còn cười, trẻ hôm nay trong tay xây ngày mới, dù lên rừng hay xuống biển, vượt bão giông vượt gian khổ,
So the
trẻ
upbeat
mãi
tempo and the motivation
vàng
to
chân
rhythm
bước
and
bàn
music really support
tới.
empowerment,
Đừng
determination,
hỏi
even
tôi
if it's more
đã
than
làm gì
music
cho
and
ta,
patriotic
muốn
mood
hỏi
for
ta đã làm gì cho
this the music to energize and motivate and why emotions and physical reaction to music are significant. It's also important to understand that our cultural background and personal experiences heavily influence how we interpret music. The cultural impact is that different cultures associate specific types of music with particular emotions. For instance, nature and sports are often associated with happiness, while minor ones represent sadness. However, how individuals perceive these emotions based on upbringing, music, and culture. For example, in the Western tradition, major scales are associated with positive emotions like joy and optimism, while minor scales evoke sadness and contrast. So Eastern countries may have different settings of classification, with minor scales would not associate with sadness, and for personal experiences. So personal memories and associations directly affect our emotional responses to music. A specific song might trigger nostalgia or sense of loss, depending on the listener's past experience. A song like A Thousand Years from Adele, I'm sorry, A Thousand Years from Twilight may remind me of
đừng
the
hỏi tôi
song
đã làm gì cho ta, đừng hỏi ta đã làm gì
or
cho
why it
tôi,
back to life sadness along with
cho ta đừng hỏi ta đã làm gì.
maybe their wedding was on the song and then they divorced. Yeah, who knows? So depending on personal situations in life. In conclusion, we can say this is directly impact emotion, memory, and perception. And by understanding how music shapes emotions and physically outline music, enhance brand identity, differentiation, and emotional. Moving on to sound perception and societal culture. So, what is auditory perception? Auditory perception is refers to the way in which individuals receive, process, and interpret sounds from their environment. From the sound of a car honking to the melody of a song, sounds give us important sensory of information about our surroundings and our emotional states. For example, when you are driving, the sound of a horn alert us to potential danger or maybe frustration, while music in a store can set the mood for shopping. Auditory perception is essential in shaping both our cognitive understanding and emotion reaction to the world around us. In a cognitive approach, according to the music reflect the emotion we already experience rather than creating them, right? And on the emotional approach, it suggests that music directly influences emotion, like the melody, the tempo, the rhythm, are believed to trigger specific emotional responses. Yeah, like the khát vọng tuổi trẻ I said before. So music is not just a passive experience; it plays an active role in shaping personal identity. People often use music to express themselves and to align with particular social group or lifestyle. The type of music someone listens to can reflect their values, their personality, and their social standing. Um, the genre that the genre of music someone listens to often becomes a key part of how they perceive themselves and how they are perceived by others. For example, a person who listens to hip hop may be seen as rebellious or edgy by like boomers generation, while someone who enjoys classical music may be perceived as intellectual or refined or smart. So the rise of indie music, you see, over the past decades that allows younger generation to express individuality and non nonconformity. And rap also, yeah. And platform like Spotify or SoundCloud allow consumer to define the music taste and share with their wider social circles, creating a sense of belonging. And it is can be also their profile too. Yeah, the music places can also be their profile. And research has shown that certain music styles correlate with different personality traits. For instance, people who prefer rock or hard metal music are often seen as more extroverted and assertive, while classical music lover tends to score higher on openness to experience and sensitivity insight. Uh, for example, a study suggests that people who enjoy upbeat music like jazz or pop tend to be more optimistic and more sociable, while those who favor ambient music are more seen as introspective and sensitive. And music also play a role in social class too. Different class often prefer different musical styles, which are closely interlinked to education, lifestyle, and cultural background. And studies have shown that intellectual music genres tend to be favored by individuals from higher social class to or those with higher educational backgrounds. On the other hand, genres like country, pop, and hip hop are often associated with working class or youth oriented demographics. Yeah. So, for example, in real life, the preference for opera music and orchestral music in high culture circles is often linked to tradition, education, and refinement. These genres are celebrated in prestigious settings, such as the theaters, the concert halls, while other genres like hip hop and rock are typically associated with street culture or stage outside. And genders also differs in their music taste as well. Studies show that men and women tend to favor different types of music, like hard rock, rap, and heavy metal are often more popular among men. Um, because it's like more masculine, while soft music, classical, indie, pop are preferred by women. For explanation, the hard, aggressive tone of metal music are associated with masculinity. Yeah, of course. And on the other hand, soft melodic music, pop music, like Taylor Swift, often evokes romance, sensitivity, and emotional depth, while aligning more with feminine qualities. But this is just stereotype, and in this stereotype, some men have the ego that the kind of music that most women like. They shouldn't be listening to it. They feel offensive if they have to listen to it. Yeah. So business also have to keep in mind about this. And research insight shows that women can use music as a tool to regulate their emotions as well, often listening to music to enhance enthusiasm or alleviate stress. This reinforces the idea that music can be a personal expression and emotional tool, particularly for women in managing their daily mood. And about group preferences, music plays an essential role in group dynamics, particularly in how it influenced and reflect the collective identity or certain social groups in different societies and even subcultures within them. Use music as a means of expression to communicate, to share values, traditions, and emotions is always popular. It serves as a social tools to bond individuals with a community or a group, and is often central to cultural celebration, rituals, and gatherings. And while musical styles may be differs across cultures, there is the evidence to suggest that certain emotion responses to music are universal, transcending cultural boundaries. This notion has been explored in studies that show that listeners from different cultures, like Western and Indian listeners, can react similarly to music that evokes emotions such as anger, sadness, or happiness. For example, in a study conducted by Bockwell in 1999, Western listeners react similarly to Indian music in terms of emotional content. Both groups interpreted the melodies that were intended to convey anger or happiness in the same emotional way, even though they came from different cultural backgrounds. So the insight is that the structural characteristics of music, like melody, tempo, harmonics, appears to have the universal associations with certain emotions. For example, fast tempos and major keys are often associated with happiness, while slow tempos or minor keys are linked to sadness. So universal is something that is good for firms to generalize when they expand globally. And one of the most fascinating aspects of auditory perception is the phenomenon of sound symbolism, where the sound of the word influence. Sounds influence how we perceive and interpret it. This process suggests that certain vocal sounds or phonetic patterns evoke specific associations, like images, even before the meaning of the word is fully understood by us. Studies have shown that the sound in a word can affect how we perceive the qualities of the product of the brand. For instance, the brand name with a rounded sound like ovo or boom, bomb, tends to be associated with larger or softer product, while sharp or angular sound like cram or trick are often connected to harder or stronger product. And in a study in 2004, participants were asked to judge two imaginary ice cream brands, one called Frisk and one called Frost, which contains rounder open sounds. The name Frost was perceived as creamy, rich, soft, while Frisk is associated with a sharper, more angular sound and associated with crispness and freshness. So with the insider does the way a word sounds triggers specific neural responses in the brain. For example, the round vowels are linked to larger, softer objects, where sharp consonants are associated with hard, angular project. So the associations are deeply embedded in our cognitive system, which helps explain why the sound of a word influence consumer perception of a product and brand. So when you want to name your firm or name your product line, think carefully of the product characteristic and align it. And beyond emotional reaction, music also plays a significant role in cognitive processes. It can influence decision making, shape perceptions, and enhance cognitive abilities. It's no surprise that retail environments often use background music strategically to influence how long customers will stay in the store or how much they are willing to spend. For example, supermarkets, like you go to Big C, and retail stores often plays like slow tempo music in between the advertising sounds, to encourage customers to take their time and linger in the stores. Studies have shown that when classical music or soft jazz is played, customers are more likely to browse longer, resulting in increase in sales. Or when you need turnover fast, then you can try otherwise too. So the cultural insight is that the cognitive effect of music can also be influenced by cultural norms. For example, in Japan, stores may play gentler instrumental music, encouraging a calm and mindful shopping experience. While in the USA, stores may opt for upbeat pop music to generate an energetic and impulsive buying environment. For example, um, there's there's a chain of stores in America called Hot Issues. They sells emo stuff. And they play like very hard metal music. Yeah, but their target customers are say that they can listen to that kind of music for the longest time, so it's kind of alike, and they will stay longer to listen to that music because it's hard to listen to that kind of music outside. Yeah, and about sound symbolism in branding, in addition to musical soundscape, the phonetic quality of a brand name has a profound impact on how consumer perceive the brand itself. Phonetic symbolism refers to how the sounds in a word can convey meaning and influence the brand perception without consumer even realizing it. For example, Apple, with its short crisp sound and soft vowels, evokes a sense of simplicity, modernity, and innovation. In contrast, names like Sharp or Bosch are perceived as strong or reliable based on their hard consonant. So, a study showed that certain phonetic qualities in the brand name, like vowel length or syllable stress, influence how consumers judge their product's quality. For example, short, snappy names like Nike are often seen as youthful and energetic, while longer Flowing names like thế giới skin food, yeah, evoke feelings for elegance and luxury. So moving on to
I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan
on the other hand,
I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan
background music is
I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan
and
I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take you to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 매gan I'm a goddess with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 loud
truly a universal language. To be honest, it's deeply influenced by cultural context too, and sound preferences vary from country to country, region to region. Cultural background shapes how we experience and interpret music, which is why brands must carefully consider their target audience when using auditory stimuli. For example, you see the K-pop. K-pop is a musical force that exemplifies how sound and cultural identify intersects. Korean producers often emphasize higher frequencies like sparkly sis, crisply hi-hat, and airy vocals. Yeah, in sensory psychology, this bright timbre would convey energy, youth, and optimism, appealing to a culture where pop music is tied to idealized youthfulness. The genre's upbeat tempo, energetic rhythm, and catchy melodies reflect the dynamic and youthful driven culture of South Korea. That's why things like the microtonal ornamentation and rhythmic patterns like the softening of Indian music would make Korean listener feel a bit immediate, and the audience consideration shows more clearly when the K-pop companies target foreign market, so they have to re-engineer the sonic profile of the listening different listen for the different listening cultures. Yeah, so the global releases albums often strip away complex rhythmic syncopations that might throw off the Western dance club or radio play. Instead, they add more bass because American like bass. And moving on to sound symbolism, the service level using sounds to reduce negative emotion in waiting times is ideal. And in many service environment, waiting time can create negative emotion for customers, whether it's in the bank, supermarket queue, or airport terminal. Yeah, customers often experience frustration when waiting for service. However, research shows that background music can play a pivotal role in reducing this negative frustration, leading to a more positive perception of the service encounter. For example, a study conducted in a bank environment found that background music significantly improved customer satisfaction during queuing. When calming music was played, customers reported feeling less frustrated about waiting, and the overall experience was more pleasant. The music helped create positive emotion, would reduce the emotional cost of waiting. And one of the key elements in auditory marketing is the music congruence, which is the idea that music should align with overall atmosphere and brand identity of a service environment. So when the style of music matches the service environment, it creates a seamless experience for customers, leading to a greater satisfaction and positive emotional response. For example, a study conducted in a French restaurant tests congruent versus non-congruent music and evaluate its effect on customer satisfaction. In one scenario, timeless popular music, which is considered non-congruent, from a French radio station was played, while in the other, modern pop music, which is considered congruent for that restaurant was selected to complement the contemporary restaurant environment. And the result was the customer exposed to the congruent music experienced lower arousal levels, leading to higher pleasure and more positive evaluation of the service quality. In contrast, the non-congruent music customers um, suffer from higher arousal, reduced overall customer satisfaction. So why is it? Because when the music genre align with the brand identity, customers find the experience more cohesive for their five sense. Yeah, for instance, a modern trendy cafe playing upbeat contemporary pop music would create a consistent vibe with the decoration and overall brand ethos, making the customer feel more connected to the space. And the idea of music congruence is not confined to retail or restaurants only. Service providers in fields such as healthcare and wellness and such also benefit from using carefully selected music that aligns with the nature of the service. For example, a spa center or wellness retreat, calming music is essential for promoting relaxation and reducing stress. Music that is too upbeat or have bass or fast paced or something would disrupt the calming experience and undermine the therapeutic effect of the spa treatment. So In conclusion, the use of auditory stimuli, whether calming music, upbeat tempos, or something play a vital role in shaping the customer emotional and cognitive experience of the customer in the service environment. And we must also consider the music as intimidation. While sound and music are often used to enhance customer experiences, they can also influence behavior unintended ways, especially when it comes to creating an atmosphere where intimidation or deterrence. Certain genres of music, like classical or opera, are perceived differently by different audiences, and the application in public or service environment that are not suitable can have profound effect, both positive and negative. An example for negative is there once was a McDonald who played classical music outside of the restaurant, and the customer who associate McDonald with fun and socializing likely found classical music a disconnecting factor, like something that disrupted the familiar, casual nature of the fast food experiences. And yeah, music is brand and auditory stimulation music and cosmetic For music in product evaluation, we see music plays a critical role in consumer evaluate products. It not only shapes emotion but also affects cognitive processes during product evaluation. The music that plays in the background can trigger a mood shift, which then influence a consumer perception of the product. In Gorn 1982 study, participants were asked to evaluate different colored paint while listening to different types of music. The results showed that people were more likely to choose the pen associated with the music they liked. When the pen was linked to a disliked piece of music, participants tend to choose the alternative pens. And in another study, participants evaluate stereo speaker while listening to music they either like or dislike. The researchers manipulate the participant awareness of the music's influence on their mood. The results show that when the participants were unaware of the source of the mood, they evaluate the speaker more positively when in a good mood compared to when in a bad mood. And music embodiment refers to the emotional responses that arise from the structure and element of music, such as tempo, pitch, and rhythm. The element evoke distinct feeling and can influence a consumer's emotional state and behavior, often in a way that is context independent. Music has the ability to evoke memories and emotions based on individual prior experiences and cultural influences. The hedonic feeling and musical elements says that music can evoke pleasure-related feeling due to its structural component. Fast-paced music generally induce positive emotion like happiness or excitement, and otherwise, these emotional responses are based on the tempo, the pitch, the elements of the music, which can be universally understood or culture-specific. And the music embodiment in advertising or retail setting is not only tied to psychological process but also to neural responses in the brain. Research has shown that certain music elements, such as melody and harmony, have the ability to trigger emotional responses, influencing how a consumer feels and reacts to the product. And the emotional impact of music is enhanced by memory. When an individual hears a piece of music that they associate with positive experience, like a childhood songs or a song they listened to when they were in a very happy stage. It can trigger positive emotion towards the brand. This emotional response can influence the evaluation of the product, and the emotion evoked by the music is transferred to the brand or product. And music is also known to influence cognitive processes such as attention and perception. For example, background music can affect how much attention a person pays to an ad or a product in the retail environment. Yeah, so please excuse me.
Thượng đỉnh,
Now move to the voices in
Nothing
advertising.
beats
In the world of
Năm sao?
advertising and TV
Right
commercial,
now,
voice
you
are
can save
essential
£50
only to
per
achieve
person.
emotion,
That's £200
credibility,
off for a
and
family of four.
persuasive meaning.
kết tinh,
So,
Nothing
the
beats
tone of
lọc,
voice
Jet
plays a
holiday.
hào
role
hoa,
in
Right now,
hiếm
you
thấy,
can
low
save
tone is
£50
often
tôn
perceived
vinh,
as
per person.
trustworthy,
lừng
That's
danh,
£200 off for a
thượng đỉnh,
family of four.
while a
thượng
high
hạng,
tone may be
năm
Nothing
sao,
beats a
of
Jet 2 holiday.
nervousness or
And right
Chắc
now,
tuyệt,
you can save
tinh
£50
different
per
depends
person.
on
tinh
how
trọn,
That's £200 off
tinh
for a
túy,
family of four.
kết
For
tinh,
example, in
Chắc
the
lọc,
Nothing beats a
hào
Jet 2
hoa,
holiday.
hiếm
And
thấy,
right now, you
tôn
can save
vinh,
£50
lừng
per
danh,
person. That's
thượng đỉnh,
£200 off for a family
thượng
of
hạng,
four.
prestige,
năm
trust,
sao,
and
Nothing
refinement.
beats
cấp,
a Jet 2
chắc
holiday.
tuyệt,
And right now,
tinh
you
hoa,
can save £50
tinh
per
trọn,
person.
tinh
That's
túy,
£200 off for a
kết
family
tinh,
of four.
chắc lọc, hào
Nothing
hoa,
beats a Jet
hiếm
2
thấy,
holiday.
So these
tôn
Right
words
vinh,
now,
now
you can
slowly
save
lừng
reduce
danh,
£50 per
thượng đỉnh,
person.
on each
That's
word.
£200
hạng,
off for a family of
năm
four.
sao,
Possibility of property
đẳng cấp,
and advice.
Nothing beats
chắc
a
tuyệt,
Jet 2 holiday.
tinh
And
hoa,
right now, you
tinh
can
trọn,
save £50
tinh
per
túy,
person. That's
kết tinh,
£200 off for a family
chắc
of
lọc,
four.
aligning perfectly
hào
with the
hoa,
high value of
hiếm
Nothing
thấy,
beats a Jet 2
tôn
holiday.
vinh,
And right
lừng
now,
danh,
you can save
thượng đỉnh,
£50 per person.
thượng hạng,
That's £200
năm
off for
sao,
a family of four.
đẳng cấp, Chắc
and the
tuyệt.
voice
Nothing
become a
beats a
vessel
Jet
of
2
brand
holiday.
identity,
And
Tinh
enhancing
right
the
trọn.
now,
perception of
you
the
can
product
save
Tinh túy.
uniquely
£50
as
per
Kết
person.
tinh.
something that offers
That's
Chắc lọc.
£200
exclusivity
for a
and
family of
Hào
longevity.
4.
hoa.
And in the
Hiếm thấy.
Nothing
Tôn
beats a
vinh.
Jet 2 holiday.
Lừng danh.
And right now,
Thượng
yeah.
đỉnh.
you can
So,
save
Thượng
£50
hạng.
per person.
Năm
That's
sao.
£200 off for
Đẳng
a
cấp.
family of 4.
How
Chắc
fast or
tuyệt.
slow a speaker
Nothing
delivers
beats a
message
Jet 2
Tinh
holiday.
trọn.
And right
Tinh
now,
túy.
you can
Fast
save
speech,
Kết
£50
tinh.
per person.
Chắc lọc.
That's £200
Hào
off for
hoa.
a family of 4.
Hiếm thấy. Tôn vinh.
Nothing beats a
Lừng
Jet
danh.
2 holiday.
Thượng đỉnh.
And right now,
Thượng
you can
hạng.
save £50
Năm
per
sao.
person.
Đẳng
That's
cấp.
£200 off for a
Chắc
family of
tuyệt.
4.
Fast-paced speed is often
Tinh.
used for energy
Nothing
Tinh
beats
trọn.
a Jet 2
Tinh
holiday.
túy.
And right now,
While
you
tinh.
can save
slower-paced
£50
Chắc lọc.
per person.
Hào
That's
hoa.
£200 off
Hiếm
for a
thấy.
family of 4.
Tôn vinh. Lừng
Nothing
danh.
beats a
Thượng
Jet
đỉnh.
2 holiday.
Thượng
And right
hạng.
now, you can
Năm
save
sao.
£50 per
Đẳng cấp.
person. That's
Chắc
£200
tuyệt.
off for a family of
Tinh.
4.
Tinh trọn.
Nothing beats a
Tinh
Jet
túy.
2 holiday.
Kết
And
tinh.
right now, you
Chắc
can
lọc.
save £50
Hào
per
hoa.
person.
Hiếm
That's
thấy.
£200 off for a
Tôn
family
vinh.
of 4.
Lừng danh. Thượng đỉnh.
Beats a Jet 2
Thượng
holiday.
hạng.
And
Năm
right now,
sao.
you can save
Đẳng cấp.
£50 per
Chắc
person.
tuyệt.
That's
And now moving
£200.
on to sound symbolism. This the way we evaluate and perceive products can be deeply influenced by the auditory characteristics. So whether the sound of the product starting, the hum of an appliance, or the click of the device, the experience contributes significantly to our emotional connection with the product. Research has consistently shown that auditory stimuli impact product evaluation, purchasing decision, and brand identity. So the key concept is that when consumers hear pleasant sound associated with a product, they are more likely to perceive the product as high quality, innovative, or premium, or suitable with their value. Conversely, unpleasant sounds can result in negative perception, even when the product functions well. In sound symbolism, the sound of the product became essential part of how we assess its value. For example, the VinFast electric bike, for example. So the VinFast has cleverly integrated sound symbolism into its branding strategy. The sound of its quiet electric engine is almost silent, reflecting the eco-friendly nature and higher class target of the product. Unlike traditional cars with internal combustion energy, which emit loud engine noise, VinFast car create a quiet and smooth driving experience. So the low noise associated with it is not merely a functional trait, it's reinforced the brand identity as innovative, sustainable, and environmentally conscious. Now, brands often use natural sound to reinforce their product features and identity, while some depends on manufactured sounds such as audio logos, jingles, or even product-specific sounds to create a distinct auditory experience. The natural sound is a sound that the product is gonna have with it automatically. The manufacturer sound is the sound that we made up and we associate to create the distinct authority of brand identity. For example, the Nescafe, we have the dripping cafe fin dripping sounds, right? It has a hiss of coffee bean and grinding, and the most common auditory cues in S branding, Nescafe advertising and branding. So the key concept of brand sound branding is that it's more than just using music or sound in advertisement. It's about creating a unique auditory experience that aligns with the brand's identity and communicates its core value. Sounds, logos, brand voice, and music plays a crucial role in this progress, allowing company to stand out in the market. And that is also the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening. And this chapter explores the role of sound in sensory marketing, emphasizing its psychological and sociological aspect, and discuss how it can help retail and service and other firms to do better, yeah, in their branding. And let's wrap this up with the case of Coca-Cola, where sound symbolism in global branding. So Coca-Cola use of music in its marketing campaign is a textbook example of how auditory element can strengthen brand identity and influence consumer behavior. Over the year, Coca-Cola has integrated sound and music into its brand strategy, employing it to create emotional connection, elevate the brand experience, and reinforce its global identity. So, uh, the context was that from the early use of opera singer and advertisement to the more modern I'd like to buy the word of the Coke campaign in the 1970s. Music has been a core component of Coca-Cola brand messaging, and over the year, Coca-Cola has solidified its association with feel-good music that reflect the value of happiness, togetherness, and refreshment. And by the time Coca-Cola appointed its global music marketing manager in 2008, the company's focus on music has evolved into a strategic tool of engagement. The company began collaborating with artists, sponsoring music events, and incorporating music directly into product strategy. So the key campaign of it was the Open Happiness. It's one of the most successful global campaign in response to the media fragmentation and cluttered advertising landscape. Coca-Cola decided to go beyond traditional advertising method and tap into the emotional power of music. And the global reach with that the campaign include a collaboration with popular musicians, with the song Open Happiness become a global anthem. The song was featured in commercials and later released as a single, receiving widespread attention in the media and on local platforms. And it also didn't lack customization also. In various regions, Coca-Cola worked with local artists to produce unique version of the campaign song, ensuring cultural relevance while maintaining a consistent brand message globally. It was a success because the Open Happiness song became an auditory symbol of joy and optimism, trait that Coca-Cola want to be associated with. The song Positive Mood helped consumer associate Coca-Cola with happiness and celebration, and it was a strong emotional trigger. Music is a universally powerful, creating emotional responses, and Coca-Cola harnessed this by using music as a gateway to consumers' emotional connection with the brand. And finally, it increased the social engagement. Following the release of the song, the phrase open happiness skyrocketed in online conversation, increasing the consumer engagement with the brand. Coca-Cola ability to generate conversation around positive emotions further solidified its presence in the consumer's mind. And there were a lot other examples like the taste of feelings too. And but we're gonna move to why it works, why linking music and songs to beverage like Coca-Cola. Yeah, because it successfully reinforced the brand identity that is refreshing, inclusive, and celebratory. And the global success of this campaign shows that sound branding is not just about creating catchy jingles, but about leveraging emotional resonance, cultural relevance, and authenticity to connect with consumers on a deeper, more meaningful level. And that is officially the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.